My mother's voice cut through the dinner table like a knife. "You'll pay for Emily's wedding. It's your duty as the older sibling." My father leaned forward, fingers drumming the table. $80,000. We've already started planning. I blinked. 80,000. Or, Dad continued, "you're no longer our child." Emily, my younger sister, sat across from me. She didn't look surprised. She looked entitled. How do you respond when the people who raised you treat your bank account like their inheritance? I had 3 years of records that would change everything. Bank statements, emails, screenshots, a folder I never thought I'd actually need. But sitting there, watching my sister smirk and my parents nod like this was reasonable, I knew the truth was about to come out. Before we go any further, drop your country and the time right now in the comments. And if this already sounds familiar, hit that like button. You're going to want to see where this goes. I looked at both of them and said one word. No. That's when things got ugly. Let me back up. Growing up, I was always the responsible one. Emily was the golden child. When she turned 16, my parents bought her a brand new BMW, bright red, leather seats. When I turned 16, I asked if they could help with my college textbook fund. My dad laughed. "You need to learn the value of money," he said. "We're not raising an entitled kid." The irony wasn't lost on me. I put myself through college, 2 jobs. A basement studio apartment with mold on the ceiling. I lived on rice and canned beans for 4 years. Emily got her apartment paid for, her car insurance covered. Spring break trips to Cancun. I tracked every dollar I made in spreadsheets. I automated my savings. I lived like I was broke even when I wasn't. It was a habit I picked up when I had to prove to my scholarship committee that I was spending funds correctly. Documentation, records, proof, I kept everything. Emails, texts, bank transfers. I had a folder on my desktop labeled Family Financial Requests. 47 emails, 3 years. My parents loved to remind me that I owed them for raising me. That family meant sacrifice. That when you make good money, you help, but help was never a two-way street. I thought the requests would stop when I moved out. When I got my software engineering job and started pulling 6 figures, I was wrong. The wedding demand was just the beginning. 2 weeks after that dinner, my parents called a family meeting. Formal, scheduled. They sent a calendar invite. I showed up thinking maybe we'd talk it through. Maybe they'd realize how insane an $80,000 demand was. Instead, my mother slid a printed binder across the table. Wedding budget, line by line. Venue, $30,000. Catering, $25,000. Dress, $8,000. Flowers, $6,000. Photographer, $7,000. It went on for 3 pages. "You make good money now," my dad said. "You don't have kids. What else are you spending it on?" I stared at him. "Why can't you contribute? You're her parents." My mother's eyes got wet. "We've already given Emily everything. We've sacrificed so much. This is your turn to step up." I turned to Emily. "Do you really think I should pay for your entire wedding?" She didn't even look up from her phone. "I already told all my friends my big brother's paying. Don't embarrass me." "No, please. No gratitude, just expectation." I closed the binder. "I'm not paying for this." My father stood. His chair scraped the floor. "Then you're choosing money over family. Don't come back until you apologize and write the check." My mother nodded, tears streaming. I left that night thinking I'd stood my ground. I didn't realize they'd already put my name on contracts I never signed. 3 days later, my phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello, this is Daniela from Rosewood Estate. We're calling about your overdue deposit." I froze. "I'm sorry, what?" "Your wedding venue deposit, $15,000. It was due last week. We have your signed contract on file." My stomach dropped. "I never signed a contract with you." Silence. "Sir, we have your signature and a copy of your ID. Would you like me to email it?" "Yes," immediately. I hung up. My hands were shaking. Then my phone exploded. The family group chat. Aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents, all of them had the same message. "How could you abandon Emily? Family helps family. You'll regret this when we're gone." My mother sent a voice memo, 3 minutes of sobbing about raising an ungrateful child. Then a DM from my younger cousin popped up. "Dude, your parents are telling everyone you make $300,000 a year and you're being cheap. Is that true?" $300,000. I made 110. For 12 hours, I looked like the villain. Then I opened my evidence folder. I emailed the venue coordinator immediately. Please send me a copy of the signed contract. The PDF came through in 10 minutes. I opened it, and there it was. A signature that was supposed to be mine, except it wasn't. My real signature has a very specific loop on the last letter. Muscle memory from signing hundreds of documents. This one was shaky, uneven pressure. The loop was wrong. I pulled up my work calendar. The date they claimed I came in to sign, I was in Denver on a business trip. Flight records, hotel receipt, meetings logged. I took a screenshot of both signatures side by side and sent them to my friend who's a lawyer. Her response came in 30 seconds. That's textbook forgery. File a police report. Now, I did. I also sent the venue coordinator a polite email with my evidence, the side-by-side signatures, my travel itinerary, and a copy of the police report number. She called me within the hour. We are so sorry. We had no idea. The contract is voided. We'll be following up with whoever submitted this. The venue was handled, but my parents didn't know that yet, and I had a lot more receipts to drop. When my parents found out the venue canceled the contract, they didn't apologize. They escalated. My mom sent an email to my company's HR department. Subject line, concern about employee mental health. She claimed I was unstable and making threats against family members. My HR director called me in. Hey, we got a really strange email from someone claiming to be your mother. Do you want to talk about it? I showed her the police report, the forged contract, and the evidence folder. She nodded slowly. Got it. We'll handle this. I'm sorry you're dealing with this. Then my landlord forwarded me an email from my father. It said I was unreliable and suggested I might not be able to pay rent soon. My landlord added a note, just a heads up, I'm not acting on this, but you should know. My sister posted on Instagram a photo of a sunset. Caption, when your own blood betrays you. Broken heart emoji, 400 likes in an hour. Mutual friends started unfollowing me. Then my Aunt Carol, the family enforcer, left me a voicemail. You will fix this. Emily's wedding is in 4 months, we don't care how. I sat in my apartment that night and realized something. They weren't asking anymore. They were trying to destroy my life until I gave in. I had 48 hours before they planned an intervention at my door. I needed the nuclear option. I spent the next 6 hours building a dossier, every financial request my parents had ever made, every Venmo, every Zelle transfer, every check, 3 years of data. I built a spreadsheet. Total sent to my parents, $43,000. Total repaid, 0. Every single request was framed as a loan. Not one was paid back. Then I cross-referenced it with what I knew about Emily. Car payments my parents covered for her, 18 months at $400 a month. Rent, 2 years at $1,200 a month. Credit card bailouts, 3 times, roughly $8,000 total. I did the math. $68,000 given to Emily in the same 3-year window, but I didn't stop there. I ran a public records search on my parents' home. They'd refinanced last year, a cash-out refinance. $180,000 pulled out. Current equity remaining, $90,000. They'd burned through $90,000 in 1 year. I sent everything to my lawyer friend. Her response was one sentence. They're funding a wedding they can't afford with money that doesn't exist. Yours. I stared at the screen. They weren't asking me to help. They were using me as a credit line to cover up their financial collapse. I needed to understand why. Why blow through $90,000? Why demand I fund a wedding? Why lie to the entire family? I kept digging. Credit reports pulled during the fraud investigation showed the truth. 8 maxed-out credit cards. Total balance, $87,000. Personal loans. A home equity line of credit nearly tapped. Total debt, $120,000. Then I remembered something. Emily's fiancé. His dad owns a construction company, regional, successful. My parents had mentioned business opportunities at Christmas. I went back through old texts. My mom's group chat with her sisters. She'd bragged about planning the wedding of the year. She mentioned my Aunt Carol's daughter got married last year. Budget $100,000. We're not going to be outdone. It clicked. This wasn't about Emily's happiness, it was about image, status, keeping up. My dad's LinkedIn showed 2 failed business ventures in 3 years. My mom hadn't worked in over a decade. Emily worked part-time at a boutique. They were drowning, desperate, socially embarrassed, and I was their exit strategy, the responsible one, the successful one, the one they could guilt into saving them. I wasn't their son, I was their bailout, and I was done playing the role. I called a family law attorney the next morning. I also reached out to a cease and desist specialist. I laid everything out, the forgery, the harassment, the defamation attempts. The attorney leaned back in her chair. You have grounds for a restraining order, a defamation lawsuit, criminal fraud charges. She paused, but I'd recommend trying one more thing first. A boundaries meeting, neutral location, my attorney's office, structured, recorded. I would present the facts, all of them. If my parents apologized and agreed to therapy and financial counseling, I'd help them find resources. But I wouldn't fund the wedding. If they doubled down, I'd go no contact and pursue every legal option. I drafted the invitation email. Professional, calm, clear. Family meeting to discuss recent events and set boundaries moving forward. Attendance optional but recommended. Location and time below. I invited my parents, Emily, and her fiancé. I gave them 72 hours to RSVP, then I prepared the evidence binder. Timeline, bank records, screenshots, police report, venue exoneration letter, debt records, 3-ring binder, tabbed sections, printed and digital backups. I wasn't angry anymore, I was calm. I had the truth, and the truth had leverage. They had 3 days to decide, accountability or consequences. I was ready for either. The meeting was set for 2 p.m. on a Thursday. Conference room, glass walls, recording device on the table. My attorney sat beside me. My parents arrived first. My dad's jaw was tight. My mom looked like she'd been crying for days. Emily and her fiancé came in a few minutes later. He looked confused. She looked nervous. My attorney started. Thank you all for coming. We're here to address recent events and establish clear boundaries moving forward. She nodded to me. I opened the binder. Let's start with the venue contract I never signed. I slid the side-by-side signature comparison across the table. This is forensic-level forgery. I filed a police report. The venue has voided the contract. My dad's face went red. You're making a big deal out of nothing. My attorney cut in. Forgery is a felony. Let's continue. I flipped to the next tab. 3 years of financial requests. $43,000 sent, $0 repaid. I slid the ledger across. My mom's face went pale. Where did you even get this? My own bank records. I turned to the next section. $68,000 in support given to Emily in the same period. Car payments, rent, credit card bailouts. Emily's fiancé sat up straight. Wait, what $80,000 wedding? Silence. We agreed on $15,000. I'm covering it. Emily's eyes filled with tears. Mom said Mom told me he was rich and selfish. She said he owed us, that it was his duty. Her voice cracked. I didn't know about the forged contract, I swear. I kept my voice steady. Your parents are $120,000 in debt. They refinanced the house and burned through the cash. They need me to bail them out. I looked at my parents. I'll help you find a financial planner, a family therapist. But I will never be your ATM again. I slid the final document across. If you contact my employer, my landlord, or anyone in my life again, this dossier goes to a civil attorney. You choose. My father shoved his chair back. You're dead to us. He walked out. My mother followed, sobbing into her hands. The door closed. Emily looked at me, tears streaming. I'm so sorry. I didn't know how bad it was. Her fiancé put his arm around her. 2 people walked out. 1 stayed. And for the first time in my life, I felt free. The first week was hard. 17 missed calls from my mother. 6 guilt trip emails from relatives who didn't know the full story. My attorney sent 2 more cease and desist letters. The calls stopped. 2 months later, Emily texted me. Can we meet? Just coffee? Public place. I understand if you say no. I said yes. She showed up with a folder of her own. Therapy intake paperwork. A job offer letter from a marketing firm. Full-time, benefits. I'm trying to undo this, she said quietly. I'm trying to be better. We talked for 2 hours. She told me how much pressure mom and dad put on her, how she was tired of being the golden child, how she didn't even want a big wedding. It didn't erase what happened, but it was a start. 4 months after the meeting, I launched a blog. Duty versus Boundaries, Financial Freedom After Family Enmeshment. I wrote about what I'd been through, the guilt, the manipulation, the receipts. The first post went semi-viral on Reddit, 10,000 followers in 6 months. Messages poured in from people dealing with the same thing. I wasn't alone, and neither were they. 9 months later, Emily and her fiancé set a new wedding date. Budget, $12,000. She paid half herself. She asked me to come, no strings, no expectations. I said yes. It was small, 40 people, backyard, string lights, homemade cake. Emily asked me to give a toast. I kept it short. To new beginnings, and to the courage it takes to choose growth over comfort. My parents weren't there. Emily had made peace with that, so had I. A year after that meeting, I looked back on everything. I didn't win by destroying them. I won by refusing to be destroyed. Boundaries aren't walls, they're doors. And you control who gets a key. You don't owe anyone access to your bank account, your peace, or your future. Not even the people who raised you. So here's my question for you. If you've ever been told that family duty means funding someone else's dream at the expense of your own stability, drop your story in the comments. You're not alone. Hit that subscribe button if you believe that boundaries are love, not betrayal. And remember, you're not selfish for protecting what you built. This story is a fictionalized dramatization and is not legal or financial advice. But the lesson is real. Choose yourself every single time.